Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept called the Cabral HouseCalls, where I get to come into your home, answer your questions, and again, always excited to see what has come in. It is a surprise to me every single weekend when I open up this document, and this weekend is no different. So if you're listening to this on Saturday when the show debuts, I hope you're enjoying the start to your weekend, and I always look forward to answering these questions. So all things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, really everything we've been doing in our practice now for a couple decades, and happy to give you my advice. So as I always say, I'm not providing any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis. Only the all-powerful conventional medicine powers that be can do that. What I do is I help look for the underlying root cause imbalances. So if you fix those, well, a healthy body can't have dis-ease in it. So without further ado, let's get started. First question today, if you want to follow along, they are all at stephencabral.com/2521. All right, first question looks like it's from Beck. Beck says, hey, Stephen, I have a five-week-old little girl, and I was wondering if it's safe to use my Joovv red light panel on her to reset her circadian rhythm and help her build her melatonin. If so, what time of the day would be best for how long? And if not, what age would it be safe for her to start using it? Great question. Happy to help with this. Keep in mind that little ones don't necessarily have the same circadian rhythm as even toddlers. And that is because typically at 5 weeks old, and again, keep in mind there's about a 12 to 13 week delay from when I'm answering your question. That's just how many questions are ahead of you. It always just builds up, and we continue just to answer the questions as they come in. So you would not necessarily, so there'd be no reason, in my opinion, to use a red light for any child really younger than like 3 years old or so. And even then, like my kids don't use the red light. So here's the thing. You always ask yourself, there's so many great modalities. I'm a huge believer in red light. I use red light therapy inside of my sauna. I talk about that all the time. I'll be talking about it for sure this January, late January, February, when I debut a brand new program. And of course, I'll be sharing all of that on the Cabral Concept. But here's the thing. So why are you doing red light? Well, you're trying to improve mitochondrial health. You're trying to improve all of your collagen production in your skin, and overall energy, metabolism, ATP production, et cetera. So usually kids just don't need that. Like that's not something they need. And to get the most benefit, you need to be within 12 inches of it. The closer, basically, the better to get those results. It obviously can be used for good hair growth as well. And you can't stare at it, right? So it's like all of these things would make it detrimental for the most part to use with kids. So I just don't necessarily think that you need it. And if you need to reset circadian rhythm, it's not like that can't be helpful for sure in the winter. It could certainly be helpful. If not, you're kind of going to gaze outside in the morning light and then the sunset at night, as well as, the basically moon, the darkness at night. And you're going to get rid of screens before bed. I have a podcast coming up on the 3-2-1 protocol, basically for helping kids and adults get to sleep faster. So I'll share that. But here's the thing. I always give you the same advice I would give myself, my family, et cetera. And I just don't use it except for like teenagers and adults. That's basically it. All right. So Angela's up next. My mother is 83 years old and suffering from Parkinson. She's on Levo, Aspirin, calcium, vitamin D3, only 2,000 IUs. She weighs about 135 pounds. She believes she needs more vitamin D3. She's also on iron and Modafinil. I believe the Modafinil is to help with her daytime sleepiness. She struggles with drinking enough water and gets constipated, probably from the iron too, and frequently has UTIs as well. She fell for the second time and broke her hip again, so she is wheelchair bound and movement is very minimum. minimal. All in all, she is a mess, and it's really hard to watch her decline this way. What would you suggest for someone that age and at that level of fragility? Yeah, it's a really good question. I've worked with many people in their 80s after falls, a lot of people with MS, et cetera, and it's really challenging. And so the first thing is this: they have to want to, or at least be a willing participant. The second is you want to get them in physical therapy, PT, and you want to do that every single day if possible. I know that's not easy. If you have the ability to get it covered by insurance and someone can come to the home, then better, good. We want to be able to massage the muscles. We want to be able to get them moving as much as they can, because if not, the muscles atrophy faster. There's a lot more pain in the body. There's poor circulation. Then it leads to like skin rashes and all of it. Like it's not a good situation. So I totally understand. So physical therapy, again, I'm not giving you any treatment plans. That's what I would do. As for the vitamin D3, could it be more? I would lab test. That's what I would do. You could just do a straight vitamin D lab test if you didn't want to test anything else. You can find that at stevencabral.com/shop. Just click on the labs, click on view all labs, and you'll find the vitamin D test there. And then getting enough protein. That's really important when people start to get over the age of 65. It's more important it's essentially more important before 25 years old and more important after 65 years old than it is in those middle 40 years where you don't want to overdo it. It's funny because there's basically the anabolism of growing to an adult, then there's adulthood, and then we start to become more catabolic. And so, we want to make sure we get enough protein in. So good quality sleep, good quality food, the whole de-stress protocol, right? If they can read the book, the Rain Barrel Effect, I think that would be great. And then start to work those systems. All right, Ryan's up next. Hello, Doc. Wanted to see if you could briefly explain the connection. And then again, so just one thing, sorry, it sometimes pops in my head. Angela, I would look into daily bone support. I would look into the daily foundational protocol. I would look into vitamin D3 for sure. Okay. Ryan's up next. Hello, Doc. I wanted to see if you could briefly explain the connection or potential of albumin binding to testosterone and lowering the free levels of test in the body. My albumin has chronically been about a 5 or 5.1. My total testosterone has always been high, but my free doesn't seem optimal. I'm 31 and I just looking to see what I can do naturally. I'm an IHP2, so I understand the basics of increasing testosterone naturally, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on albumin and testosterone connection, how we can lower albumin levels to a better range, lower protein, so lower sodium, any genetic issues I look into, liver or kidney, et cetera. Thanks. Yeah, you're on the right track, Ryan, and happy to hear that you're an IHP level 2. So you're amazing and keep up the great work. So again, my work on increasing testosterone naturally, right? So what do we need to do? Okay, lower cortisol levels, increase zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, balance blood sugar levels, 3, maybe 4 weight training workouts per week, get 8 hours of sleep per night, 90 minutes deep sleep, 2 hours of REM. I'll be teaching this again a lot more, like I said, in, late January, early February, so definitely stay tuned for that. But let's talk specifically, and again, it goes so much more in depth. I have a whole podcast on low testosterone, so if you can't find that podcast, just ask at cabralsupportgroup.com, or you can always ask inside of the IHP Facebook groups. Okay, private Facebook groups. So let's get to albumin. Well, you probably know through your research that sex hormone binding globulin, SH binding globulin. Sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG. There we go. That's the abbreviation. It's funny, thinking and talking at the same time is not always my strong suit. But that is the main. So basically, let's say a person has a lot of testosterone, lot of just total testosterone. And that's all their doctor runs. And this person has good testosterone. That's why you have to run free testosterone. And ideally a saliva test, which is going to be free testosterone. That's the gold standard. Okay. So we've got total high testosterone, but low free testosterone. That means the testosterone is being bound up. It can be bound up by sex hormone binding globulin, or it can be bound up by albumin. Albumin would be a weaker binder than SHBG, but nevertheless, it still binds it up, which means that you can't use it, right? It's not that's not free testosterone. It's not able to be used. Okay. So the nice thing is, we know the reasons for this. And yes, there could be liver issues. There could be kidney issues. I'm not saying that like that's a possibility, but not always in healthy individuals. For the most part, there's elevated levels of stress. There's an infection, or there's elevated levels of inflammation. Now, as an IHP2, you have to say, you run the stress, mood, and metabolism test. You say, are there elevated levels of cortisol? Yes or no? And maybe you're good, okay. Now you look at what's your DHEA look like? And then we're also going to look at the minerals and metals test. We're going to like, what do your electrolyte levels look like? Okay, are they good? Good. Okay, now we're going to look at inflammation. Where's the inflammation coming from, right? Heavy metals, infections. So again, just kind of work the process and you're going to be able to figure it out. There's no doubt about it. Like you'll be able to figure this out. You're only 31 years old. You'll be able to bounce back. No problem at all. All right, Emily's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm wondering if you could share your thoughts on sorbitol intolerance, how to test for it, and how to treat it. I've been diagnosed with IBS in the past, which was unhelpful diagnosis at best, and I've recently been wondering if I may snuggle with sorbitol intolerance as well, which I have not been tested for. My thinking about this stems from the intense gas, bloating, diarrhea, and abdominal discomfort I've been struggling with lately. These symptoms are not new for me. However, I've noticed they are more intense and frequent lately, and I'm wondering if this is connected to my increased sorbitol consumption over the past summer from stone fruits. Thank you for your work. I'm saving up now to take levels 1 and 2 of IHP. Okay. And I apologize if I'm kind of tripping over my words today. I've been speaking for many, many hours, but I never let that stop me from doing what I have to do, right? And doing what I want to do as well. And that's be able to answer these questions. So luckily my brain is still operating. Okay, here's what we want to do. Sorbitol, so it's Sorbitol. And whenever you see the all at the end, think sugar alcohol, right? So that is very important. Why? Because sugar alcohol often causes bloating and gas in people that have bacterial overgrowth in the gut or candida overgrowth. So for me, I don't know of a test that tests for sorbitol intolerance. However, the issue is, okay, you test that you're positive for sorbitol intolerance. What does it tell you? Really nothing, right? Like literally nothing. So what do? Stay away from those foods. Okay, you could do that, but I always look for the root cause, right? So let's look for the bacterial overgrowth. Let's look for the yeast overgrowth. There's the first lab that you could run that I would recommend is the Candida Metabolic and Vitamins test. And again, you can just find that at stevencabral.com/labs or /shop. It'll take you to the same place. And then the other lab that you could run, which is more in depth on just overall the bacteria, is the bacteria and parasite stool test. And again, that's at stevencabral.com/labs. That'll tell you for sure. That's really what you want to do. Like if you're struggling with IBS, IBD, bloating, gas, acid reflux, et cetera, or inflammation, like our friend Ryan was, you want to go figure out where the inflammation is coming from. So you want to actually look at the gut microbiome. So that's what I recommend. And then you'll be able to rebalance your gut, and then you won't have to worry about sorbitol or any of the alls, right? Like polyols, mannitol, et cetera, right? So you'll be able to be good with all of them. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Sarah's up next. Hi there. I love your podcast. Thank you for your work. Does fasting help clean up damage of chronic alcohol abuse on the body and brain? Thank you, Sarah. So again, I can't give you any medical advice, but I can say yes, meaning like yes. So by fasting and by doing things like a functional medicine detox, you give your body the nutrients it needs in order to be able to get into deeper levels of autophagy while simultaneously allowing your liver to remove the harmful toxins that we all know exist in the environment. There's well over 100,000 now man-made chemicals in the environment. We come in contact with hundreds of those most likely per day. And so our job is just to be able to eliminate those. And when the body doesn't have new coming in, it's able to then work on the repair-based process. And so, yeah, I'm a huge advocate of it. I myself do a 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Intermittent fast each day. And then I typically do a once a week longer one. And then each quarter, I do the functional medicine detox by Equilife. And you can find that at stevencabral.com/detox. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. Let's see, how many questions have we answered? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've got another question to go. I like to do 6 every Saturday and 6 every Sunday. So this one's from Lyndon. Lyndon says, hi there. I would love any help I can get for lowering candida while living with mold. or living in mold. Unfortunately, I have no other option but to be in this environment for a few more months, but I'm dealing with pretty intense candida, and I know mold and mycotoxins can really fuel its growth. Any recommendation on a diet approach to keeping it as low as possible and other ways to support my body while I live here? Thank you so much. Yeah, happy to help. I mean, we specialize in this. We literally specialize in gut, digestion, stress, hormones, etc. And so you can lab test for it, but again, you already know that you're exposed. So if you want, you can jump right into the CBO protocol. And this is what we've used. I mean, we have thousands of practitioners all over the world using it. We've used it with tens of thousands of people. It's unlike anything else out there. I mean, that's why a lot of practitioners, they use exactly this. And it's very simple to follow. So it's the nutrition, it's the supplementation, it's the removal, it's all of that. So you can find that at stevencabral.com/CBO. And it's going to help eradicate a lot of what you're dealing with. And then after that, you would actually complete the mold protocol once you're out of the mold-based environment. One thing that you may want to do in the meantime is if the mold is inside, keep the windows more open, get the fan circulating. If the mold is outside, well, then keep the windows closed. Either way, get yourself a good air filter. You can find the ones that I recommend that I literally use in my office, my living room, my bedroom, my daughter's bedroom, and you can find that at stevencabral.com/resources. That's where all of my resources live. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the reviews, by the way. They continue to come in. If you haven't reviewed the podcast, I would love you to. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much. And I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Steven Cabral. And that's Steven with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.